white abolitionists in the first half of the 19th century proved to be extremely effective. They focused attention on slavery and made it difficult to ignore. Although some Quakers were slave owners, members of that religious group were among the earliest to protest the African slave trade. Many abolitionists united to form anti-slavery societies. These groups sent out petitions with thousands of signatures to Congress, held abolition meetings, boycotted products made with slave labor, printed mountains of literature, and gave innumerable speeches for their cause. Let's listen in as a group of people learn about some of these abolitionists during a trip to the Lancaster African American Museum.
Although I was born into slavery, a few months prior to emancipation in 1892, my parents influenced me to rise above my circumstances. As an educated woman, I became a renowned journalist and lecturer and co-owner of the Free Speech and Pet Life newspaper in Memphis, Tennessee. I vehemently spoke out against injustices against people of color and women. I received national recognition as a leader of the anti-lynching crusade. I lectured throughout the northern states and Great Britain. I was also a founding member of the National Afro-American Council and the NAACP. Many people revered me as a rebel because I openly criticized racism and the lynching of our people. My life was threatened many times, and I was run out of Memphis, Tennessee, but that did not impede my cause. I relentlessly illuminated America's repulsive assault on innocent people. I believe in speaking the truth and nothing but the truth. I stood profoundly on the principle of human rights. After all, the Declaration of Independence articulates the fundamental idea that all men are created equal and should possess the same inherent natural rights. With that being said, let me end by saying this. I'd rather be revered as one of lone Negro who dared to speak out against the vicious, cowardly slaughter of our people than to have saved my own skin. I'm proud to be the voice to revoke what I believe to be a terrible, unethical, inhumane injustice toward humankind.
Another well-known abolitionist was Frederick Douglass. Mr. Douglass was recognized as one of America's first great Negro speakers and was asked by the American Anti-Slavery Society to engage in a tour of lectures. He was even an advisor to President Abraham Lincoln during the Civil War. Let's listen as Mr. Douglass tells us a bit more about himself and recite excerpts from some of his most famous speeches.
I am Frederick Douglass, and I am considered the father of the abolitionist movement which fought to end slavery before the Civil War. I fought for constitutional amendments that guaranteed voting rights and other civil liberties for my people. We may be asked why we want those rights. And I say to that, we want them because it is our right. We want them as a means of educating our race. You know, it is said that we are ignorant. But if we know enough to be hung for trying to escape the brutalities of slavery, we know enough to vote. If we know enough to pay taxes to support this government, we know enough to vote. If the Negro knows enough to shoulder a musket, and fight for the American flag, we know enough to vote. Prejudice. What a disgusting thing it is. And we find it today in the most unlikely places. One of those places is the church. See, I used to attend a Methodist church in which my master was a class leader. He would pray morning, noon, and night. Yet he could lash up his slaves and inflict stripes and blows upon their bare backs until the blood streamed to the ground like water. All the time quoting scriptures. He that knoweth his master's will and doeth it not shall be beaten with many stripes. So be it for the church. As I told a farewell address in Britain in March 30th, 1847, I do not go back to America to sit still. I go back for the sake of my brethren, to lift up my voice in their behalf, to speak and write in their vindication. And to that I say, I utterly deny that we are in any way inferior to anybody on this globe. And I will fight against this injustice until my feet are cold, my eyes have been shut, and my arms have been folded across my chest.
I'm sorry. He belongs to me.
I am Susan B. Anthony, and I fought for women's rights and for slaves to be free. I believe all people, regardless of their sex or race, are equal in the eyes of God. In 1863, Elizabeth Stanton and I organized the Women's National Loyal League to support and petition for the 13th Amendment, outlawing slavery. We went on to campaign for the 14th and 15th Amendments, which would give Africans and women the right to vote with full citizenship. We were bitterly disappointed and disillusioned when women were excluded. Nevertheless, I continue to campaign for equal rights for all American citizens, including ex-slaves. If you are a woman of legal age to vote, please do, so your voice can be heard. Thank you very much.